It's been nice to observe hi-fi manufacturers releasing some new products over the last couple of months. That certainly wasn't the case for the first half of 2022. Pickings were slim, to say the least. In any case, doesn't seem to apply now. There's plenty to talk about, so let's get stuck in. On the 25th of July, Exposure announced the release of the 3510 series preamplifier and stereo power amplifier, adding to the range which previously included the 3510 integrated amplifier that I reviewed back in March 2022. The Exposure 3510 replaces the outgoing 3010 series. The 3510 preamplifier has 6 line inputs with the option to substitute one for a moving magnet, moving coil phono stage, or a plug-in DAC. There are 2 RCA outputs as well as a tape output to connect to recording devices. The AV input can be set to fix again to integrate with a home cinema receiver. High quality relays are used in the input source selection, whilst the output stage uses discrete transistor Class A output buffers. There are all discrete transistors in the gain stage as well, married to a hybrid power supply to ensure very low noise. The 3510 stereo power amplifier delivers 110 watts per channel into 8 ohms. Essentially, as far as I can tell, is the power amplifier section lifted straight out of the 3510 integrated. It makes it great for owners interested in bi-amping it with the 3510 integrated, looking for more power or better control of their speakers. Naturally, it can be used as a standalone power amp as well. September has seen the 3510 Monoblocks added to the range. They're a different kettle of fish, sharing many design elements with the range-topping 5010 series. For example, DC coupled throughout the circuit, removing capacitors from the signal path. XLR balanced inputs are added to the Monoblocks that you don't see on the stereo power amplifier to ensure use with a wider range of preamplifiers. Power may drop from 110 to 100 watts per channel, but that shouldn't be significant enough for people to notice. The range is available in black and titanium finishes. The 3510 Pre and stereo power amp both retail for £1,590, whereas the Monoblocks will set you back £2,990 for the pair. Apologies if you're picking up some background noise. It's blowing a storm out there, typical British weather. Now, I've reviewed the 2510 and the 3510 integrated amplifiers from Exposure, and let me be clear about this. The 3510 is superior in almost every regard. It has more resolution, you hear more of what's on the recording, a bigger, wider soundstage, it's more dynamic, more punch. It'll also play a lot louder. That said though, I prefer the sound of the 2510 to the 3510. That's because there's just a smidgen, just a touch of hardness in the upper mid-range of the 3510 that isn't present in the 2510. Now this could be because it's a more resolving amplifier. That trait is masked in the 2510. Could also be because they're quite different designs. The 2510 has a passive preamplifier section and only one set of output transistors per channel. So I've been thinking, what do I review next in the range? The 3510 Pre and stereo power amplifier? No, that's likely to just be a refinement of what I got with the integrated. But the Monoblocks, that's a different story. I had an email exchange with Tony Brady, who's the designer of Exposure amplifiers, and he confirmed that the 3510 Monoblocks have an amplifier circuit lifted straight out of the range-topping 5010 series. Those two Monoblocks retail for £5,500. All you have with the 3510 is basically the same circuit with half the output stage and a smaller power supply. That means less transistors, a smaller transformer, a little bit less on the smoothing caps. At £3,000 or just under, they could be quite a bargain if you don't need the extra power. Elac may no longer have Andrew Jones designing their speakers. We're still waiting to see what he comes up with at MoFi Electronics, assuming he hasn't joined their search to find master tapes to cut future records, of course. In any case, Elac remain a significant player in the hi-fi speaker space. They've launched the first in their new series of powered speakers, the debut ConneX DCB41, available in the 3 finishes you see here. Although I haven't got confirmation of the UK pricing I'd expect it to be around £500, given that the US price is $599. The primary speaker houses the amplification for both, with two 50 watt per channel Class D amplifiers. Connection to the secondary passive speaker is achieved traditionally by connecting speaker wire between the speaker terminals. Input connectivity is impressive. HDMI ARC will allow you to connect your TV to use its remote control to change the volume, as long as your TV has HDMI CEC functionality. Elac does provide a dedicated remote control as well. Vinyl lovers are catered for as well, with the inclusion of a moving magnet phono stage to hook up to your turntable. It can be switched to a regular line level input for use with other analog sources. The optical digital input I'd expect to see, but a USB input is not always present on powered speakers around this price. It means that you can access music stored on your PC, Mac or streamer in higher resolution. Up to 24-bit 96 kHz is supported. There's a dedicated subwoofer output and you can stream directly via Bluetooth aptX. The debut ConneX DCB41 will support the platforms you'd expect, such as Tidal, Qobuz, Spotify and Amazon HD. Interesting that, another powered speaker from a well-known speaker brand that's likely to be the right side of 500 quid. I got the distinct feeling of deja vu. It reminds me a lot of the Q Acoustic M20s that I reviewed and was hugely impressed with. Okay, the Elac's likely to be a little bit more, but I still think that these two speakers will be going head to head. Be interesting to see how this Elac compares. Canadian brand PSB are attempting to put their best foot forward in bridging the gap between lifestyle and hi-fi stereo systems as well. Their new Alpha IQ speakers will be available to purchase online from the 19th of October and should hit retailers' hands in late November. Available in satin black and satin white finishes for £1,299, this is not just a powered speaker, but a proper active DSP design. That means that rather than a passive crossover, frequencies are divided with the DSP engine. Being fully active, each driver has a dedicated amplifier, 60 watts of Class D power for each woofer and 30 watts for each tweeter. The DSP functionality should ensure that you get more bass output and extension from what you would ordinarily expect from a 4-inch polypropylene mid-bass driver. The 0.75-inch aluminium dome tweeter sits in a waveguide to achieve better integration with the larger driver. Unlike the Elac ConneX, there's no wired connection between the primary and secondary speaker. The tangle-free wireless connection is reported by PSB to have low latency, so when watching TV you should experience no lip sync issues. You know, the type I'd associate with a poorly dubbed 1970s martial arts movie. Vinyl's important these days to many people, so the Alpha IQs also come with a moving magnet phono stage, HDMI ARC, optical digital and an analog 3.5mm auxiliary complete the wired inputs. There's an Ethernet port to connect to your network, or you can use Wi-Fi, and a USB port to access music stored on external drives. It's the wireless connectivity of these speakers which is perhaps most impressive. Yes, it has Bluetooth aptX HD, Apple AirPlay 2 to stream directly via Tidal, Qobuz, Spotify, blah blah blah, but the BlueOS streaming module from sister company Bluesound is also included inside. That gives you access to arguably the slickest streaming platform in the hi-fi industry. There's a lot going on with this speaker, a proper active design with DSP and the Bluesound streaming module inside, all for less than £1,300. If it's done correctly, it could be a real bargain. I was invited to the UK press launch. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend due to a prior commitment, which is a shame really. I would have liked to have checked this out. It's definitely on my radar.